Yo guys, what is going on? It's your buddy Double D and welcome back to Tom Clancy's The Division. Now as promised, we're getting back to a regular upload schedule, which will be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You guys are going to have a Division content video. If I upload on a Tuesday or Thursday, it will more than likely be some competitive Overwatch gameplay, but I know most of you guys are here for the Division, so that's when you can expect your content. Weekends will be streaming. If anything, head over to twitch.tv/dduville and drop a follow. That way you know when I go live. You can come and hang out. I'd love to see you guys. But I did want to talk to you guys a little bit about the Underground. I've had a lot of hands-on time with it on my Xbox, and there are just a couple of things that you guys are going to want to do leading up to the release of the Underground for PlayStation. Number one, this is pretty much par for the course with anything. You're definitely going to want to save up some Dark Zone credits and Phoenix credits. Now, it's not super important, but just in case there happens to be something at the vendor that you want to buy, you don't want to have to go out and grind for it. You want to be able to snatch it up as soon as it comes out. I know it's kind of hard to save Phoenix credits with weapon recalibration and everything, and here's my tip for that. Unless you've got something that is an insane god roll already and you're looking to make it just OP as shit, I would give it 1 or 2 rerolls and then discard it and, get another weapon. Just because there is not really a cap on how high the Phoenix credit cost can go, and it gets pretty high pretty damn quick. So it's a pretty big Phoenix credit sink, and it's not necessarily always worth it in the end. So just use common sense there. Let's see. Going forward, yeah, so with the Underground coming out, this is the most important thing that you're going to want to do. You need to find a gear set or a set of gear. It doesn't have to be a full gear set, but just a bunch of pieces of gear that have the highest gear score possible. And this is really important, and it's important to note that the stats don't matter. You just want the highest gear score possible, and the reason is because as you are leveling up in the Underground, which has its own separate ranking system, much like that of the Dark Zone, every time you level up, you are going to get an Underground cache, and that Underground cache has a chance of dropping weapons or gear set items, and those item levels are going to be weighted based on your current gear score. So the higher your gear score, the higher the item out of it. And that's really important, especially going forward. Now, what's really important to note is that for a while, especially the previous state of the game with Sentry's Call and things like that, gear score didn't necessarily matter. If you had a full set of Sentry's gear, it could be 191 and 214. It didn't have to be 240, and you were still shredding people. However, going forward, now especially with the whole tank meta, you really need to have the highest stats possible. The higher amount of armor, higher, everything, higher firearms, higher stamina. And obviously, the higher the gear score item, the higher the rolls go. For example, if I have a 191, my stamina might roll from 400 to 500 versus a 268, which is going to roll from 600 to 800. I'm just pulling numbers completely out of my ass here, but you guys get the idea. The same goes for the armor rolls, I believe. So that's really important because the higher your armor rating, the more space you've got freed up for other things like critical hit damage and subcategories on your gear mods, such as critical hit chance and skill power. But we'll go into all of that in a separate video. Now, once you've got your gear set pieces, you want to make sure that when you get your Underground cache, you are putting on that gear. I may or may not have opened like 4 or 5 Underground caches before I put on my gear, and I was kind of upset about that. I will tell you though, it's really easy to get a nice set of gear right off the bat. I had a fresh level 30 agent. As a matter of fact, I hit level 30 on my Xbox a couple of days after the Underground released. Played for about a week, and I ended up with a gear score, pretty decent stats, and a gear score of around, I think, like 241, somewhere around there, 240, 235, something like that. So pretty decent gear score with pretty decent gear. The reason that is because the first maybe 10 to 15 levels that you're leveling up in the Underground are flying by. They're they fly by. So you get right off the bat within the first couple of days, if you play a lot, you're getting maybe easy, like I said, 10 to 15 underground caches. So just make sure you've got your gear score up nice and high when you're opening those, and you'll get plenty of gear pieces. It is nice. I haven't done a whole lot of stuff in the Dark Zone simply because, like I said, I don't have friends on Xbox One, and running solo in the Dark Zone is not really a thing anymore, which is unfortunate because, you know, way back in the beginning, that's what made this so much fun for me. I could run through the Dark Zone all day and all night solo and get out a bunch of fun content videos for you guys. But now with the whole tank meta and the, you know, the NPCs are even more bullet spongy than they were before, which, you know, you can see now. It's unfortunately a solo experience in the Dark Zone is just pretty much non-existent. But again, that's neither here nor there. That's a whole nother video that we're going to get into later this week. But just to recap, going forward into the Underground for PlayStation users, you guys definitely want to make sure that you have plenty of Phoenix credits, plenty of Dark Zone funds, and you're going to want to have the highest gear score possible, stats not mattering. So you'll probably have like a gear set that you use normally, and then just your highest gear score set that you can open caches with and get plenty of stuff. Well, I hope you guys found this video informative. I hope you're looking forward to the Underground. I'm really looking forward